Qing's prose talking about men. Everyone says that this world is a man's world, and only men are fighting for it. Having wealth is not enough. You also need to gain power. You must make yourself high and proud. In fact, the motivation for these fights is for women. They may not realize it, but I believe it is absolutely true. Yanzi's coachman was so proud of himself when he was holding the whip that his wife saw it and said, "Yanzi is less than 5 feet tall and he became the prime minister of Qi. You were born in vain to have a majestic body of 7 feet. Aren't you afraid of embarrassment when you guard him?" After that, he worked hard and finally became a doctor. This is an example. Sometimes I walked by the gate of a government agency and saw the guards standing there shouting commands and saluting every time an officer came out in a car. I felt sorry for them, even though my husband was not among them. I wonder if women in the world like men who like to ride in cars and be respected by others. Or is it a man who likes to stand at the door and shout commands and salute others? Because there is no woman who does not envy vanity. So men all become vain. Many men do not hesitate to give up their own artistic hobbies, academic studies, sports and hygiene, and just beg for things and ask for favors, get up early and go to bed early, drink wine they don't want to drink every day, say things they don't want to say, and wear white suits in the summer, even though he was dressed neatly. His sweatshirt and even his shirt were soaked through. Everything was done for the purpose of making money. But what do you do with the money? The only honest reason is to support the family. There are also some men who secretly think that it is not worth it and are not convinced. So why don't they go out privately to have some fun? However, in the end, you still can't get rid of women. You need a partner to dance. You have to invite a few women to watch the theater, play cards, and smoke opium, not to mention whoring and the like. Makeup, perfume, high heels, silk and satin. Everything is made for the needs of women. There are countless workers in the world working day and night for women. Although it sounds a bit blasphemous to say this, the fact is that it cannot be concealed. I believe that if there were no women in the world, men would not be able to make money or spend money. If you are still unhappy even if you make money and feel uncomfortable spending it, this world will not be like a world anymore. Men all love women, but they cannot explain it clearly, so women shed tears. Ordinary women only know how to talk softly, hug and hug each other, which is called love. You must know that men have many things to do. Officials have to plan every day how to flatter their bosses, exclude colleagues, and command subordinates. Businessmen are always planning what to do, wearing other people's hats and selling goods at the price of a layman and a poor family, who can concentrate on being romantically involved with a woman. Moreover, women are difficult to serve. Like Jia Baoyu, she hides in the Grand View Garden all day and night, not doing her job. And she has to worry about not being considerate of Lin Daiyu's thoughts. In modern times, men like this always come back from the market or the office in a hurry. How can I fully comfort my wife when she is extremely tired and angry? So they have no choice but to choose the one they want first. It turns out that the motive of working hard to make money is nothing more than to win the favor of a woman. He talks softly and slowly, and maybe asks the woman to comfort him when necessary. Many women who don't understand this think that men make money for the sake of making money, and use love as a tonic. Therefore, women are not happy to use their job as a consolation in a serious manner. They also need to have a career, or simply rely on it as a career. They only need money and no love. How valuable is a career to a woman? I always wonder. It should be noted that the beginning of a man's love is the beginning of his career, because he believes that only by having a career can he maintain his love for her. And after love fails, he must work harder on his career, because he believes that if his career succeeds, he will not be afraid of losing the hope of love again. This is not the case for women. If a woman's love is successful, she doesn't need a career. And if her career is successful, she won't be able to get love. So what's the use of a so-called career? I also know that it is possible for a woman to fall in love and work at the same time, but it would only be better if every woman in the world did this. Otherwise, in my opinion, women who work and fall in love at the same time will always be more focused on love than others. Women who don't do their job suffer. In fact, from the perspective of true love, why don't women want men to concentrate on comforting themselves? A young woman must love Jia Baoyu, Maybe she will change her mind and marry Zhen Baoyu until she understands the world. Women love Jia Baoyu because they want sweet love, and marry Zhen Baoyu just because they want to be a first-class wife. Unfortunately, the descendants of Adam and Eve did not have the fairy fruits in paradise to eat, and had to sweat and live by themselves. So men chose to make money, and women naturally had their turn to dress up. But there is no need to belittle oneself. The purpose is still the same, just to please each other. Men's pride is wrong. It is said that the sages, heroes, scientists, artists, etc., since ancient times are all men and there are very few women. You must know that this is caused by the customary standards from ancient times to the present. Men originally relied on this to please women's. When it comes to women, they should be judged by their beauty and ugliness. Isn't it true that there are many beautiful women in the history of the world? If men are willing to love women who serve as guards from today on, I believe that in the future, there will be groups of modern girls at the door of government agencies who will shout commands sweetly and raise their delicate hands in salute. If women didn't ask men to make money and compete for prestige, then there would be many people like Jia Baoyu who spend all day making rouge juice with the maids, and the world would be able to reduce the number of wars and killings. Unfortunately, this concept cannot be changed so far, so men are busy obsessed with fame and fortune. I also doubt the true value of the so-called career of ordinary men. I remember one time my sister said to me that she hoped to marry a well-meaning and wealthy husband. I felt that in today's world, people with good intentions often don't get money. We are very poor, and the people who make money get rich by cheating, hoarding, borrowing money, etc. How can we hope that they will suddenly have good intentions? It is actually very unreasonable for a man to use his wealth and power to win the favor of a woman. However, some men have confused or simplified their minds due to excessive efforts, mistaking the means for the purpose. In order to make money, being an official is to be an official. As long as a person is rich and powerful, it doesn't matter whether the ladies love me or not. The result is even more disastrous, because a person's vanity can stimulate himself, but his sexual instinct cannot be wiped out. Therefore, men who work too hard to do other things when they are young often suffer from the disease of living in flowers when they are old. It's too late to regret coming here. There is no one who is not lustful. Some are thinking hard in their hearts, and some are venting at will. Most of the people who think hard seem to be well behaved. They have good grades in school and work well in society. Many women who keep themselves safe think that this is the standard husband. Little do they know that these people are most likely to commit masturbation. After marriage, it is difficult to achieve the happiness of both sexes. As for men who flirt casually, there is also the risk of being infected with the disease, which is very scary to think about. There are also men who can suppress their desires and only seek spiritual release. That is beneficial, and great art can be produced from this. Dante wrote his immortal masterpiece The Divine Comedy because he could not marry Beatrice, and his sexual desire was suppressed. But there are also men who can vent appropriately and often have contact with women without inappropriate actions. Those are the most ideal husbands, but unfortunately there are not many of them. There seems to be no reason why men are afraid of their wives. It can also be explained as saving trouble, but I am afraid that many of them are due to lack of sexual ability. Just like the elderly are more likely to spend money on women. It is nothing more than making up for their mistakes. I felt ashamed and sorry, but I couldn't say it out loud, so I had to give in everywhere, which turned into being henpecked. It's easy to explain to others with words, and it's very clear to tell the truth. Sexual psychology can explain the motivations of all human behaviors. If you think it is obscene, then the person is not worth talking to. Men love women's youth and beauty. This is their innocence and frankness, and it is also the reason why men are physiologically prone to impulsiveness. Sex comes from stimulation, but it cannot last long, because the excitement will naturally decrease after two people get along for a long time. Asking for material things is a helpless compensation for women, because they know that men change their hearts easily and quickly, so they should grab some material things quickly as a consolation after disappointment. At any rate, I always get a sum of money from him. This is a bold saying after a woman is abandoned, because she can still get a considerable price. If you say, can't it be regarded as a woman playing tricks on a man? It would be more like AQ style, and the result would be that men would take advantage of it more, because men are easy to be impulsive. They are often not satisfied with a fixed spouse. One moment they fall in love with a dancer, another moment they fall in love with a female actor, and sometimes they change their mind and want to become a female businesswoman. They didn't have any malicious intentions at the beginning. They just wanted to vent their instinctive desires. If they had the strength, they would embrace everything. And the more the merrier. Unfortunately, in the end, the girls were incompatible with each other, so there was a tragedy of abandoning the old wife for the new man. In this society, especially in cities, there are probably very few men who are truly monogamous. They had at least one or more mistresses, and the traditional method of dealing with them was concubinage. Later, there was a period when women's rights were suddenly advocated, and gay love was the most popular, so there were endless stories of divorces from wives with little feet, because they loved female students. Unexpectedly, the trend has changed again recently. Men see their predecessors leaving their little-footed wives and getting married in name only. After falling in love with lesbians for several years, there seems to be no good results. Therefore, they believe that marriage is still old-fashioned and ask someone to introduce them first. They met a few times, exchanged a few letters, and then got engaged and then got married in a daze. To truly have free love, they had to live together informally. They simply had no status, were not considered wronged lovers, and would not offend their wives. But it kills two birds with one stone. Nowadays, there are many such ambitious and prestigious women, either because they cannot avoid physical control, or because they deliberately take advantage of men's power. They easily become such nameless mistresses. Although freedom is very free, it's just cheaper for men. They can be irresponsible at any time. Men are bad because their love is not exclusive and permanent. But in fact, this is their biological instinct. And they are at least real. They like young and beautiful women, because young and beautiful women can directly cause sexual stimulation, and thus love will occur. That is reality. I find it even more shameful for women to keep saying that they like a certain man's morality, or knowledge, or secretly estimate his status and money, as if sex can be completely satisfied by vanity. But this is probably also related to biology. Their impulses are slower, and they have been restrained by thousands of years of traditional thinking, and sexual repression has been regarded as natural. I always think that the attire of the servants in the cinema, a purple coat with dense rows of white copper buttons, and white trousers with two strips of color on the outside, and a darker gentleman's dress are good looking, but most women look down on this, because it represents status for no reason. The latest men's hairstyle will become worthless when it is combed on the head of the shaver. Hypocritical women. Instinctively, their love may not be permanent or exclusive, but they can control themselves and return to each other. So they often end up loving each other. Although their desires are often suppressed, they do not produce great art. They only produce children and seek their development in maternal love as much as possible. Their lives are complete. Women's vanity forces men to give up their legitimate ways of pleasing the opposite sex. Instead of stimulating the opposite sex with youth, strength, and beauty, they only commit murder and illegally make money, hoping that they will be in the limelight and attract the attention of women all over the world. Little does anyone know that at this time, his temperament has become greedy, ruthless, and violent, and is no longer suitable for love as soft as water and as erratic as mist. Although a woman is vain, she cannot completely obliterate her instinctive sexing, and thus they can never truly love him. In addition to his mental pain, his behavior will become more cruel and lose rationality, and the world will be in chaos. I wish women in the world would be less vain, and that men could be less sinful. Men are such pitiful and hateful animals.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.